Giving you a set of tips on preserving your family history during January 2023. This week, I am preparing 7 more of those tips using Zoom, where I can share my screen with you and actually feel like I'm knowing what I'm doing at the time. I tried doing that in the live cast function in Facebook, and it was just a little bit too scary. So I'm doing them in Zoom now, and I will therefore be able to post these for you on a daily basis. Tip number 8 was all about how you go behind the scenes with me in planning to write your family history story and to keep a record of that using a Trello board. Let's have another look at that. So I'll share my screen with you and show you the Trello board once again. When you set up a Trello board, we have across the page a set of lists. Each one of these is a list. So I can pick these up and move them around. Within the list, we have cards. So this is one card showing here, which I can pick up and move around. And this is another. I add images to each of the cards so that I can see at a glance which is the right one for me right now. So let's go into this 30 tips, 30 days one. And you'll see here again where I've added checklists. And you'll see below a number of those checklists. To create a checklist, all you do is click on the checklist and give it a name. And add that as a title for your checklist, which you can now see here. And then you can put in place each one of the items that you want to put in place there. So it could be that you're following a set of prompts or a set of ancestors, and you can put them in here one by one. And so on. And as you write your story, you come back and you tick that one off. It's a nice way to keep a list and to keep you on track. So you'll see here I have several checklists, amongst which is one that I have here for the Scottish historical events in 19th century, where I can draw on those if they are relevant to the period of time I'm talking about with my ancestors. Let's come out of that particular card. And you'll see then that I have a list for each month up until June. If I scroll across, you'll see what I mean here. And some of these have been added to and changed in December as I began to plan out my year's activity. So in January, I have the coaching course happening, the ancestral storytelling, and that one you can come in at any time. But during January, I'm running a set of masterclasses where I give you 40 minutes of my time on parts of that course. That's the Join the Challenge card that I showed you. And I'm also starting to collect my journal notes for my memoir writing. And this particular one prompts me to remind myself to do just that. I also have plans to create a new course about how you unlock your ancestral storytelling ready for publishing. And you'll see here that this is a prompt for me to do that later in January. And I also have included my ancestral storytelling masterclass schedule here, allowing me to plan ahead. I've already made some changes to this, so I just want to go in here today to make that change. This one, instead of being yesterday's date, it will now be today's date. And that will remind me that that's what I'd planned to do. And I do the same for each month and go across and put in place different things that I want to do. So that's Trello. When I began writing my story from my prompts during the week, I ended up with this story in my blog post called McCulloch Clan Fish Tales. And you'll see here that I have a nice little feature image that gives you an idea of what's included in the story. My next tip will show you how to create your feature images. So that is tip number 9 we're up to. And that's all about using Trello for planning your stories.